winning a Division I game, any Division I game, home, neutral site, is tough. And I've said that from day one, how competitive it is. Winning on the road, of course, is very difficult for a lot of reasons. And of course, to win two is, I thought in my mind, not that I didn't have a goal to win both games, but I said to stay in this race, I said we got to win 1 out of 2. Got to win 1 out of 2. And so, of course, after being selfish, after we won the Troy game, we got to win. We got to win this second one. If we could get this second one, put us in good shape. So, very, very happy. Of course, both of them were really hard-fought games against two good teams, and of course we played well at times. Didn't play so well at others, but I thought both games we showed a lot of grit, and determination, and you got to have a lot of that to win on the road. So real pleased with this weekend. Of course, looking ahead to this weekend, glad to be home, and of course we've got to, as far as the standings go, a big game, but we just try to keep things in perspective, and the next game is always our biggest game on the schedule. That's our whoever the opponent is, and of course we're playing a team that's really, really good and well coached. Coach Marlin's done a great job down at Lafayette. Old-time Southern Miss rival, and I know there's a lot of excitement. One of our goals 4 years ago, and it's still our goal, and now it's coming to fruition. Of course, there's several things that have kind of just happened in such a lightning quick way. One was demand for tickets. I think I ran into Brent Jones at church yesterday, and he was telling me about the possibility of a sellout, and so that's exciting. But vision-wise, about the wanting to play meaningful games in February was has always been one of our goals. So if you're playing meaningful games in February in your last now 3 weeks of the season, that of course that means you're having a good year and you're fighting for something, and that's kind of where we are. So we've got a big week. I'm proud of last weekend. Of course, it's behind us. We always win or lose. We try to correct and move on, and here we are now with an opportunity to fight for at least a temporary first place. But we got 6 more tough games the way we see it. So it'll great opportunity for our program on Thursday against a really good team, and of course they've already beaten us pretty good down there at their place. So we'll have a great challenge in front of us this week.
Questions?
Speaking of the first game, obviously y'all were without Alvarez. It kind of showed throughout the game. Y'all didn't have that player that could just kind of steady the ship at the time. How huge will his impact be? As you've already seen the past couple games, it's been massive, but having everybody healthy, how do you think he will affect the game prior to the way he couldn't?
Yes, of course, that remains to be seen. That's why we play games, but I think has impacted, and I think it's getting better and better. Of course, I still don't think, I was actually just talking to Juan, our assistant coach, that's like a father to Nefta, and he thinks he's as far as not physically, he's physically back, but just the rhythm and conditioning and all those things that he thinks he's about 60% of his capability. He just told me that before I walked in, and so but he's made a great impact. Of course, since he's come back, he's given us a boost. Of course, y'all have seen the pressure that he can bring defensively. He's quick and explosive, and again, he didn't play. They've got some outstanding athletes. Fulks, really quick point guard. It's going to help us to have Neff out there. Hopefully, stop some of his penetration. Garnett had a great game against us last time, 6 for 8. Shooting the basketball, of course, Greg Williams is one of the best athletes in the league. So those 3 guys, as well as some of the guys that come off down court and some of those guys that come off the bench, are very athletic, and we're going to need every athlete and every resource that we have. But I'm anxious, of course, to play. You know, and if you kind of go back, Denaje Harris was just coming out of his injury, so we really were playing without two of our top guys. I mean, Denaje played, but he wasn't full strength, and so anyway, again, it remains to be seen, but it certainly. I'd be remiss to say I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad that he's back, and glad Denaje's back at full strength.
Coach, could you just speak to probably your emotions right now in one of the biggest games in your Southern Miss era here? Could you just talk about some of the emotions you may be feeling ahead of this?
Yeah, trying to, it's trying to keep things in perspective myself, and it's exciting. I want our players to talk to them about it this morning at practice. I want our players to kind of go back to my playing experience here in 86 and 87 and 88. If we didn't have a sellout, we expected that. It was hey, something's wrong. Where was our crowd tonight? We only had 7,000 here, 6,500, and so it would seem like there was something wrong. And so it's all a matter of perspective, and of course, expecting a large crowd on Thursday. How they look at it. I want the standard. We want to build the point where standard is not 20 wins. It's 25 wins, and it's going to the NCAA tournament, and the Reed Green Coliseum is full every night. That's our vision. That's where we want it to be. And of course, you have to have steps to get it back there. And this is, of course, a great opportunity for us. But it's rewarding to me to see, and again, how I mentioned earlier in this press conference, how fast it came. I mean, I keep referring back. We had a season ticket and Hardwood Club event at Brewski's before the season started, and there were 26 fans there. 26. We also had our cheerleaders. We had the Southern Misses, and we had 26. Some of those were probably parents of them, boyfriends or whatever, And so, and Felipe Haase mentioned that at that time. He said, he counted them. He said, Coach, there were 26. And I said, well, we're going to have another one. Of course, I was speaking boastfully at that time. I'm trying to encourage them. I said, well, we're going to have another one at the end of the year. We're going to see how many people come then, because there's going to be a lot more. And we want to build it. But if you guys play right, we're going to go from 100 to 200 to 400, and sure enough, and it's happened so fast. But that's kind of typical of Southern Miss. I mean, I grew up in Hattiesburg. I'm a Southern Miss fan. We can talk Southern Miss football or baseball or basketball for days and days. That's my passion. And but that's how Southern Miss fans are. Let baseball get off to a slow start. You'll see how, that's just the way it is. It's not unfortunate, but it's the way it is. But Southern Miss fans will support you if you're winning, and they have come out in droves, and it's been exciting. And in the way that we play, that's based on pressure and pressing and pushing the basketball, that relies on energy. They're impacting the game. Our fans are impacting winning, and I'm thankful and grateful. Our players are thankful and grateful. So please keep coming. I'm glad that they like what they see. There's a lot of excitement. I grew up in a time here where there was a big deal when we first got going in football, and Coach Collins was the coach, and Reggie Collier was the quarterback, and Sammy Weiner, and all these greats. It was a thing called Eagle Fever, and that's why one of the first things I did in our hallway is put that big Eagle Fever logo out there. And what Eagle Fever was the whole town in South Mississippi was just on fire with emotion and excitement, and everything was just about USM, and of course mainly our football team at that time. Of course, it ended up spreading to other things, and there's a lot of Eagle Fever coming back right now, and it's exciting. Everybody's excited, and that's great for our program, but I think it's also great for the university, and a lot of good things going on right now at their university.
Coach, could you touch on the personnel you went with in the second half of the Georgia State game, and you had left your 2 points out there?
Yeah, earlier in the year, of course, if y'all rewind back to the Vanderbilt game, which seems 2 seasons ago now, Glenn, Gosh, that seems like long. Basketball's a long season, you know. And but you go back to early November when we played at Vandy. That was our starting lineup, and we started up there. We started Felipe, DeAndre at the 4 and 5. We started Mo and Neff and Austin. That was our starting lineup. And not that anybody was playing poorly at the half, but of course we were down 4, and we felt like we just needed to bring more pressure in the press. And of course Nefta does it as well as anybody in our league, and Mo does. So we just felt like that. Let's look at this, and with the knowing that our intention was to try to raise the pressure in our press and flip the game, and of course, thank goodness it worked out. And I thought we had a great run those first 10 or 12 minutes there of the second half at Georgia State. Thought we played really well on both ends, and it changed the game. I'm not taking credit for that. Of course, that was a staff decision, but also the players. They what I like about our team is they'll do what they're told to do. Without question, Coach, we need to bring pressure. Let's pick it up, And Neff came in there and did a great job.
Coach, does it help when you play a game of this magnitude that you've kind of already seen them play before? You've already kind of have film on them playing against you. Does that help going into a game like this?
Yeah, absolutely. You play someone the first time, and it works for them too.
Yeah,
it works both ways. But you play somebody, and so you have a little better feel for their personnel. You of course, with the way that scouting is and the availability of film and other teams, you can walk back to that game, and of course we've already done that. And what they did in that game, what are they doing? Are they doing anything differently? Of course, they've been very successful, so I don't anticipate them changing too much. They've won 10 in a row. They of course started 0-2 and then won that first game. But they were picked to win the league anyway, and they just stumped their toe early on. But they've got the ship righted. They're playing really well, but yeah, it helps us a little bit, and it's one of the parts of coaching that I really enjoy is kind of the chess match, and what are they going to do, and maybe what we're going to do differently. And of course, at this point of the year, we're not going to change a lot. They're not going to change a lot, but there are some minor tweaks and so forth that I think both coaches will do to try to give their teams the best opportunity to be successful.
You saw Mo went down late in the Georgia State game. Any update on him?
Still wondering how that wasn't a foul. That's just me. Man, that was a physical. But I thought, I want to say this. I thought Mo Arnold played great in the second half. I mean, he hit some big shots. Shooting that's not necessarily his game. When I say shooting, shooting the ball from perimeter, hit some big outside shots. Played with incredible confidence and determination, and he's tough as leather. He's got some of that Pearl River County toughness about him. And anyway, I was just so impressed and thrilled. But of course, the play you're talking about, and he finished the play. And but it took some hard contact. Came down. The good thing about it, it's not broken, and it's not a pulled muscle or anything like that. It's a bruise. And he's going to be a little sore. He worked out this morning. He'll be fine by Thursday. Maybe still a little bit sore, but he'll be good to go.
Where's the bruise?
On his hip.
Okay.
And his hip landed, with that hard, I can't say foul, hard contact that he took. He landed directly on his hip and immediately was done for the game. Of course, when our trainer got out there to see him, they took him immediately to the back and to where they could lay him down on the table and sent word quickly back to Coach, he's done for the game. And but he had I thought he had played so good. He had a big he and Neff I thought had a big, and Felipe, of course Felipe had a great game, had a big part of us winning.
You want to touch on the lift that Perez gave you guys in the second half?
Unbelievable. A couple of games, Marcelo hasn't played, excuse me, a lot here recently, but I think it's a testament to the depth of our team, but also the attitude, the team attitude, and we use kind of a supermarket mentality, and what I mean by that is, so we got 15 active players, and we say, you know, one of you guys is eggs, and the other one's bacon, and the other one's mayonnaise, and the other one's bread. You know, and when you go to the supermarket, you know, this week you may not need everything. You know, you may just need eggs and bacon, and next week you may need some bread. And that's kind of how it is, because it's hard to play. I feel very confident in playing every one of our players, about putting them in the meat of the game if we had to. But it's very difficult to play 15 players. And of course, we've got some really good depth at the positions he plays. And I mean, you have Denaje Harris, who's really, I think, exceeded expectations this year. Of course, Donovan Ivory, Austin Crowley. I mean, you know, we can go on, and he's a really good player, as y'all know, and his just minutes have been hard to come by. But I had a feeling at halftime of that game. I said, we need someone that can create with the ball, that's a good passer, that moves without the ball, to kind of give, not knowing if it would work or not. And I thought he delivered big time. But again, it's a testament to him, because he stayed engaged, he continued to work hard at practice. And but I thought another example, and that's happened, Glenn, throughout the year. I mean, you can go back, Nico LaGuire and all the, you know, that guys that at times use sparingly, Jeff Armstrong, they come in and deliver, and but haven't gotten in their feelings or pouted like a lot of kids will do these days, you know, when they're not getting there, so to speak. And that's again a testament to the family, I think, culture that we have, and I give our players credit for that, because they're happy when other players are out there doing well, as long as they're successful. Every player at this level wants to play, and they think they should play. None of them, not one of them, plays as much as they think they should play, and not one of them gets to shoot as many balls as they think they should shoot. None of them, period. And but the ones that play less, they have maintained an incredible attitude. And again, we needed him, and he delivered. And so that was exciting to see. And again, I think as we move here toward the end of the year, where depth becomes more and more important, you know, it's a great thing for us. And I expect Marcelo to play a really important role for us down the stretch.
You know, you talked about just taking a game-by-game basis, but obviously kind of with the excitement and energy around this particular game, how do you kind of keep like the nerves or just like the mental aspect of the game in check?
Charlie, that's a good question. You know, again, we just try to keep. We've always had from day one here a just next game approach, and we don't get too low off of losses, and we try to correct and move forward. Same thing with wins, and we try to stay humble when we win. You know, one of the hardest things to do in coaching is to deal with complacency, overconfidence. I still have a hard time dealing with that, and the psychological part of that, when it's a natural human reaction to become more complacent. And one of the things that we've really tried to focus on is if you will stay focused on your long-term goals and your big goals, and like for instance, when we got the 20-win plateau, you know, our first thing was, guys, were you satisfied with 20 wins? Or now do we reset? Because that was, of course, one of our goals. Let's reset for 25. We've got 6 regular season games left, you know, now. And now, of course, we're at 21 now. And, you know, we get an opportunity to win 25 games. That's another plateau. And so, but, you know, the excitement around the community, of course, social media is so much different than it was when I was playing. And everybody's, you know, telling them how good they are and so forth. And it's a concern, you know, but we try to make sure that we stay humble every day. We talk to them about humility. We talk to them. All of our players have had a different route here. The returning players, you know, I don't want to use the term suffering, but we've had some. We weren't very successful the last couple of years. Use that in terms of a positive motivation. The guys that have transferred here all had some type of challenge or pain or something that they may have gone through. And hey, don't forget about that every day, and stay humble, and try to keep focused on our team goals, and that's the best we can do. Now, whether that's going to work or not, Charlie, I don't know, but that's how we're handling it.
Heath, do you have any questions for Coach?
Yes, no.